The walled city. The old city. It's a common occurrence in Europe. It's an uncommon concept in the Americas, and especially the United States. In Charlotte, North Carolina, it's a similar story. Looking down this street, West 5th Street, it's easy to miss the old city's village-scale edifices because they're hiding in plain sight in front of those late 20th century commercial cathedrals that punctuate the importance of this top 20 U.S. city. And in the tunnel vision required at automotive speeds, it's even easier to ignore these vestiges of a different time, a different culture, but not a different place. But having looked at a map, I knew there were walls. Not the European-style, human-scale walls that can be circumnavigated at a walking pace in 20 minutes or so, but modern, miraculous, incomprehensibly large walls. Walls formed by an inner beltway, distinctly American, for better or worse. On foot, assuming permission to pass, it takes potentially hours to transit the circuit they form. Just unboundedly ambitious in their scale. These walls were immediately obvious to me, and likely anyone who looks at a map of today's Charlotte. But what I also uncovered were two other sets of walls. The first, the natural walls, moats really, formed by the creeks and branches roughly where the Beltway runs today. A formidable natural obstacle impeding freight transit in any direction other than along a northeast-southwest axis. An obstacle so profound that in the days before mechanized transport, early settlers to this region were more likely to have come from Philadelphia than Charleston. These were the walls that forced General Cornwallis to march down a muddy clay trail somewhere in the old town and find himself being ambushed by ginned-up frontierspeople resolved in their conviction that revolution was their only path forward. And it was this natural barrier, the topography, that dictated the placement of the second set of walls, the 19th century walls, those formed by the many railroads that passed through the old city of Charlotte, the natural resource extraction hub, which later grew into a mid-sized mill town as it electrified. These walls were laid on the narrow northeast-southwest ridgeline, occasionally eroded by draws and gullies, even to the modern Tryon Street. Those walls bounded a much smaller area, about 7 blocks across, and an area I plan on exploring in a subsequent collection. An area we can see, even in this short content, that was not wholly spared from the wrecking ball when the new walls went up and the new order took hold. And quite accidentally, the focus of this collection is on the borderland bounded by these different sets of walls. In many ways, now a vast wasteland the planners never intended to be again experienced at old world speed. Where there is development, ornate Victorian detail has given way to brutal architectural masses, parking lots, and the odd public park. And in many places, obvious vestiges of the factories and shacks once occupying this transitional zone still obviously exist. The purpose of this video is to explore these vestiges that tens of thousands experience every day, but to do so at a more human pace, not to mourn the past. In many cases, little more than uninsulated, unelectrified cabins is what passed for housing here, albeit housing around which proud and vibrant communities once existed. And the factories were, from what I understand, heavy steel workshops that belched coal smoke and made an awful racket. The purpose of this collection is simply to observe and learn, maybe comment. And I think documenting the area between the walls in 2024 is important, because the monument to the failed ambition of the 20th century is still easily observable in this transitional zone. But they won't be for long, thankfully I say. This collection will help inform me and anyone else of why things may be the way they are after the remnants of the improved city are slowly replaced with something new and hopefully more genteel and less hostile to the human experience. With that, please enjoy Uptown Entrances.